What is up? Welcome back to Uncle Rico's Storytime. This could be episode 26 or 27. We don't really know. I think I lost all my footage from yesterday. It was Labor Day. I put in a good hour. It was really compelling stuff also. So if I can't retrieve that footage, everybody suffers because of it. I'm super exhausted and an equal amount stoned. Today was a rough day. Yesterday was a rough day. Somebody said something about my cutoffs and how grubby I look, and that I should class it up. But I never. I really don't give a shit what I look like, or that's not true. I guess to an extent, I don't know. But I'm out here in AJ, so this is the look. If I wore a collared shirt, I feel like my neighbors would probably start throwing eggs at me and vandalizing my property for being different. No, I have been rocking the cutoffs a bunch because the guns are getting too big to fit in normal t-shirts. That and Zeusy, nice. That and it's been really fucked up. So yesterday, Labor Day, tried to get up to my mountain and get some stuff done. I wanted to stake out land for my storage container, and I wanted to get up there and see a sunrise because I found out that I've got land facing the west and land facing east. West is beautiful. East, I think, is just going to be a phenomenal sunrise. So I wanted to see that. Farmer's Almanac said sunrise is at 6, so I tried to get going and missed my shot. It was like I started heading up there at like 5 o'clock. Might have been even later than that, doesn't matter. But I'm like, man, my back is pretty saucy. I decided to scrap it. I had all my shit packed up. I decided to scrap it, and I said, you know what, it's Labor Day, it's great. I'll use today as a catch-up day. And I didn't get to catch up shit. I just got bombarded by guests. But today, I got up at 3 o'clock, got the dogs out, made myself a fruit smoothie, and hit the road at like 4 o'clock. And I'm in my expedition, and I get to right where the interstate turns off onto the county highway, and I hear a pop like a hose blowing, but it's not in the engine, it's more back in the rear of the truck, and it sounded like running over an aluminum can or something like that. So immediately after the pop, I lost all power, and I really couldn't accelerate at all, but it still drove. So I drove it to a parking lot, got out, took a look at everything, no leaks, no nothing like that. So my plan was, since it took a long time to accelerate, my plan was to take the back ways. I'm way up north from my house. I'm like an hour from my house, which is east. So my plan was to cut way north, and then down through the back roads. Again, it's like 5-ish, so it was super early, and I made it around like north and then down when it just gave up, and I couldn't drive it anymore. So it gave out in Richie Richland. So I got it into a neighborhood, luckily. Um, about 2 months ago, it was idling rough, and I checked all sorts of different stuff. We switched all sorts of stuff. My mechanic buddy thought it was exhaust. I bring it in thinking it's catalytic converter. It got so bad when I started it up once. It got so bad, it sounded like fucking rocks were rattling around in the engine. Like, it was so loud. And then I followed the noise to the catalytic converter. So I brought it into the catalytic converter place. I was like, hey, I need a swap. They put it up. The guy called me like an hour later and was like, hey, man, you're not showing any error codes, nothing. It looks like a good cat converter. I don't think this is the issue. I don't want to do work that you don't need to get done. So I was like, all right, awesome, man. I appreciate you being honest. So drove it the next day, and it just sounded like, again, rocks, rough idling. So I took it into Midas, and Midas did some tests, sent me on my way for with a courtesy driver, which was awesome. On When I'm with the courtesy driver, I'm thinking, this is fucking sweet, and then I'm like, yikes, how much are they gonna, charge me if they're sending me with a courtesy driver? And of course, dude, as soon as I think that, dude calls me up. He's like, hey, blah, 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 it is catalytic converter, you were right, blah, blah, blah. I said, why didn't this other guy then? And he's like, well, to be honest, we have, different tests for this, better tests, and, can pinpoint it. So I said, all right, well, how much is it? It was an insane amount. It was like $3,000. And I'm like, dude, I bought the truck for $3,000. I just bought this thing for $3,000. So I had the courtesy driver turn me back. That was a huge nightmare because they couldn't end the trip and start up a new one, and she technically couldn't leave, and they should have dropped me off, and I don't know. God bless technology. And I get my truck, bring it back to the cat converter place. They put it up on Jack's. I think it was 500 to swap that out. And he calls me up. He goes, yeah, you're good to go. He's like that. Right? The inside of that cat converter was fucked up. So I believe, I couldn't talk to him, but I believe a piece or something got inside the cat converter and was rattling around and making noise and impeding stuff. And so fast forward to now, the problem today, my car went down and is fucked, like not drivable. So I call an Uber. He picks me up in North Scottsdale, and about an hour away, brings me to my house. Turns out he was a mechanic, so I was picking his brain. I'm officially done with Fords, because the last 8 cars that I've had have been Fords, and they all have the same fucking thing wrong with them. Evap issues, manifold issues. I'm just done with them. I watch all these documentaries about how the Ford Motor Company fucked over the little people. I'm not going to buy American just because it's here if it's an inferior product. So everybody says, how great Toyotas and Nissans are. So in the cab, looking for a lot of stuff. It's still only like 6 o'clock in the morning at this time. And so I'm shooting out messages, Facebook Messenger, Craigslist. Not so much Craigslist, it's more Facebook Messenger now. But got a lot of options. Start leaning towards Toyota. The Uber driver tells me, hey man, I start talking to him about what I'm looking for and everything, and he's like, you need the Toyota Tundra or the Sequoia. And looking at it, responding throughout the morning, I get a buddy to drive me down to this place and look at this Tundra. And I stop. There's a bank on the way. I gotta grab cash. Hey, baby. Yeah, come on up. I gotta grab cash, and it's great. There's a bank there. This dude is responding to me that his wife is home. He's at work, so I can get this truck purchased, possibly by a trailer, go run up, grab my truck, bring my truck down. That's the plan. I go and look at the truck, and I'm not entirely sold on it. There's a few things wrong. There's some coolant spray in the engine. It just felt a little loose as I drove it today. Spoiler alert, I did buy the truck. As I drove it today, I think it was just that I haven't driven a truck in a while. I forget that it's rear wheel drive. I bought a fucking truck for towing and for my mountain use that wasn't 4-wheel drive. I don't know. I just thought Tundra's, big V8, 5 point whatever liter. I figured it was, had some 4-wheel drive capability. But I go down there, take a look. My buddy, God bless him, Tony D, helped me out. He's in restaurants and hospitality, so it's fun hanging out with him. I told a story about he goes, when I was up in Detroit Lakes, there was a girl who was great around tables. There was a server who her tableside manner was impeccable. Like, she was smart, witty, would identify with the guest, and then as soon as she walked away, and in real life she was just dumb and annoying, and yeah, just dumb and annoying pretty much. But she was great around the table, so I'm trying her. She was new to the restaurant, so I'm trying to teach her all this lingo. In the weeds. 86. 80 in the weeds means you're super busy. You need help. On the fly means right away. 86 means we're out of it. But she was super annoying, so she would come up to me, and she's like, first she comes up. I'm trying to teach all these words to her, and we run out of root beer. And so I go, hey, so-and-so, come here. Do you know how to change root beer? And she goes, yeah. And I go, the bag in the box, root beer. And she goes, yeah. And I go, okay, go in the back and change root beer if we're out of it. It'll be empty. It'll be making a noise. If the box is too big to lift, grab the dishwasher back there. That almost killed himself. Oh my God. Detroit Lakes was an experience. So I tell her, go back there, da-da-da-da-da. I go, you know how to hook it up? She goes, yeah, I got it. So she runs back there. She's back there for a little bit, and then she comes out, and we had a circular restaurant in Detroit Lakes. It was called Speedway. It was all NASCAR. We hit financial troubles, and the owners decided to bump all the prices up and start giving the check with a check presenter. That was the way they were going to solve their problems. But so this girl goes back to look at the root beer, and she's back there for a little bit, and then she comes out and she goes so loud. Restaurant's open. She goes, hey Nick, 69 the root beer. And I'm like, yes. And she is just really proud of herself. So she's like, hey guys, 69 the root beer. And guests are like looking at her and stuff. And she's like, hey Meg, 69 root beer. Hey Joe, 69 root beer. And so I pull her aside and I'm like, geez, it's 86. Which by the way is Navy term. But she comes up one day and she's just super annoying, and I'm talking to somebody else, and we're busy, so she comes up and she's like, Hey, Nick. And I was like, hey, I help you out all the time. And then he was like, not really. And I was like, all I did was ask you for bread, blah, blah, blah. And I went, boop, right on her nose. And when I did it, I was like, oh, shit. What did you do? Like, you're fired. And, like, I looked at the chick I was talking to, and the one I booped was like, and then just walked away. And I was turned to the girl I was talking to, and I was like, I can't believe I just did that. And she's like, I can't believe you just did that. And I go, I can't believe it worked. And she's like, I can't believe you just did that. And I'm like, fuck, I think I'm fired. I figured this girl was going to walk right up to the office, but she didn't. She just went back to work. And my boss was out to get me. She thought I was going to take over her job. I was supposed to take over her job, so she was right about that. But she was looking for any excuse to get rid of me. So I was like, oh, wow, I'm done. But yeah, that was the boop. Boop. I was like, oh, fuck. So I don't know. Oh yeah, so I'm riding along with Tony V, my man, and we get down there, and I'm not happy with it. I realized that it's two-wheel drive, and I was going to make sure that it was a four-wheel drive that I had, you know, because up on the mountains it does snow up there. I don't want to get to the thing where I'm loading up the back and everything, and so now my plan is, you know, if we can fix this expedition with a $500 cat converter swap, I don't know, what are the odds that two cat converters completely fucking break down and start rattling apart from the inside? I don't, but if that's what it takes to get that, then I can use the Expedition to tow, and the Tundra can be my daily. But either way, I'm talking with the wife, and I go, hey, you know, I'm not completely sold. Should I call your husband? She's like, yeah. So I was like, hey, man, I call him up, and I'm like, hey, you know, da-da-da-da-da, these are the, you know, my issues, and, you know, can you come down at all? And he got super hot. And then because he got hot, I was like, all right, well, I was going to go look at this Sequoia, so I'll roll over there. And he's like, that's fine, go do that. He's like, I got a guy that after work I'm going to go bring it to a mechanic, and, you know, he said he'd cover all the costs and pay for everything at $6,000, and I'm confident doing that, you know. And I go, you know, that's fine, I'll, you know, if I don't like the Sequoia, I'll circle back, and, you know, maybe it's before you're done with work. And he goes, well, you know, what do you want me to come down to? I'll go to, you know, 6,500, and I'm like, or 5,500, and I'm like, perfect, yeah, let's do that. So got that squared away, hop in the truck, drive way up, and this is way south Phoenix suburb. So I drive way up north. My fear is that my truck is broke down in Richie Rich land, and it was so early that there were a bunch of gray hairs out there. One dude walked by with his dog, and I was like, hi there, you know, I got my hood up, it's obvious what is going on, and you know, I waved morning to him, closed up the hood, ordered the Uber. Another lady came walking by with her two dogs, and morning, and I'm just imagining, you know, at 5:30 in the morning, you know, hey Marge, you know, I saw this blue truck in front of the Robinsons, and, you know, oh, I'll call Phyllis and find out, you know, and getting my car towed right away. So I wanted to get up there right away and take care of it. I drive up there with the new Tundra, and On the way, I called the nearest mechanic. It's like 1.5 city blocks away, which is perfect. It's like a mile away. So I call him up. I go, hey, this is the deal. I think it's a cat converter. He says, well, we can't weld those in. We can install a brand new one, but we can't swap them. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but I'm like, okay, well, this other place out in AJ did the work for me. I'll just take it there if that's what it is. And he's like, that's fine. And I said, no damage, that won't cost me anything or whatever. And he goes, no, we'll figure it out, da 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 da. So I drive up there with my truck, grab my broken down Expedition. It still takes forever to accelerate. It just feels like it's bogged down. So I really feel like it's cat converter. I drive it over to the mechanic's place and I fill out all this information. I go through the whole history of the truck. I walk him through the codes and alerts that came up, and then he tells me that it's $180 for the diagnostic, da 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 da. From there it went up and up. So I was like, man, the guy on the phone said that if it was a cat converter, I could take it out to AJ, it wouldn't cost me anything, because you guys can't do that. I'm not going to have you look at it and tell me that it's a cat converter and it costs me $180 for you guys to tell me what I think it is. So I hop back in my broken down Expedition, start driving out back to where my new Tundra is. I park it in there's a gas station, strip mall place with a lot of shit going on there. So I was like, I can park it there. I know I'm good for a day. I hope I'm good for a day. And then I hoof it back to, I was going to get an Uber, but I hoof it back to the working Tundra and I drive that home. So my plan is tonight or early tomorrow morning, Ubering back to my broken down Expedition and getting on the interstate. It'll take me a while to get up to speed, but if I get up to speed, I should be able to make it back to AJ and the place that did my cat converter swap for $500. Now the only problem with that is if it completely shuts down like it did before, now we're into the government on the interstate and they will impound that fucker and it'll probably cost, I don't know, do they ticket? Wouldn't surprise me if fucking government ticketed a car, like if it was. Either way, I don't want to go down that route, so that's alright. There's enough stops and I'm going enough speed that if it does break down, I can coast to an exit. I'll have to map it out, strategize. So that's the plan. Yeah, I spent some money today. While I was waiting, I checked out tires for the backhoe. I need a name for the backhoe. Got a new Toyota Tundra. hopefully we'll be able to fix that expedition, and still got to get that backhoe. Was super excited. Found a storage container that was super cheap and perfect for what I wanted. They gave me an address. I drove out to the address, and it was right by my house, which was awesome. So I'm thinking this is pretty serendipitous. And it was a storage sales place, and it was just really cool. It was really well painted, like stacked up like puzzles and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm like, dude, this is gonna be awesome. And went in there today when I was coming back with the Tundra, and stopped in there. Said, hey man, dude, I want that 40 footer. And he goes, yeah, we can do that, blah blah blah. Gave him all my information. He's like, is this the ad, an online ad? And I go, yeah. And he goes, was it super cheap? And I go, yeah. And he goes, how much? And I go, 2,400. And he goes, yeah, that's a scam. We get like 4 or 5 of you in a week. And I'm like, is it a scam or is it bait and switch? You son of a bitch. So, but I still listened to his pitch, which was a long one, especially since I was exhausted and so hungry. But I politely listened to his pitch, thinking, maybe I found a hookup here. My business was right across the field in the interstate, so I got that out there. I'm like, da 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 da. And it was like gonna be $5,600. Everybody else is right around 4,000, so a lot more. So that was not good. So had another fantasy football draft last night. It was a 10-man league, but it was weird. Everybody just kept kind of dropping, so I just got really good value throughout. I went really heavy on wide receivers in the middle of the early to middle part of it, which I don't like to do because even in 12-man drafts, there's still a lot of feasible wide receivers out there, but they just kept freaking dropping. Nakua, Neighbors, Waddle, Rice. I was like, fuck, I gotta, they all had like negative notes about them. But I think this is Yahoo. No, this is ESPN because they made me register through Disney to access my fantasy league. And then once I got in there, it was wiped out. So they had to send me another invite. But ESPN didn't update any of their information, and I don't think they're going to this year since Disney is involved. But everybody in my draft just kind of left the people alone. So CeeDee Lamb fell really far because it said that he was out, because of the contract negotiation. I think he signed was it a week ago? I think I read an article. It was like he had 2 weeks to get in shape before the game or something. So, yeah, but everybody kept falling. So I didn't get my guy. I didn't get my kicker. Bronson, what's his name? He's the Packer kicker. But I got Rodgers again super late. I got Cousins. Those two guys have the same bye week, which is problematic, but I'm high on Kirk and Rodgers. They're both coming back from an ACL, but I think they are both people that can come back from it, and I think wouldn't be a surprise if either one of them put up 30 touchdowns and 10 picks. So, and we are in a wide receiver league. Wide receiver, or not wide receiver, but we're in a quarterback, normal scoring quarterback league versus my keeper league, and PPR. So I went very heavy on running backs that catch the ball out of the backfield, and just got stud wide receivers. So I did not get my kicker though, which I was excited about. My sleepers are for this year are Pitts, Mooney, Cousins, Rogers, Hall. I like the Jets' offense. I like Atlanta's offense. Just high on both of those guys. I think they're severely underrated, and you can pick them up. All those guys. I think Mooney's gonna skyrocket. I think he's got the tools to excel. I always have. I just don't think he was in the right system. So, with a pro like Cousins throwing the ball, I think he'll put up some pretty big stats. Rogers, I see special things in New York, and then I see him dropping a turd in the first playoff game. They're young, and Rogers is not a playoff quarterback. Talked about this after my last draft and my last one. I don't think he's ever been in a fight. He reminds me of my brother-in-law, and I love my brother-in-law to death. They just have those same intangibles, the same personality. My brother-in-law set all these sports records in my hometown for basketball and football. He was a city quarterback, city record-breaking, like all city basketball, and was a stud there. But they have the same demeanor. Even playing catch with my brother-in-law, he'll throw a pass, like just fucking around in the backyard, and he'll fucking like whiz a pass, which will, you know, go off my fingertips, and I'll sneak a look back, and I'll see him be like, like, oh fucker, I should have caught that. So, but they remind me of the same. So, but Rogers, I don't think has ever been in a fight. He shows it in big games. In a big game, there's always a point where something bad happens, or you question yourself, like this isn't going to happen. He gets hit in the face and he turtles. Still one of the best to ever play the game. Don't get me wrong, I love him. He's great, but he doesn't. I don't think we get the best Aaron Rodgers in playoffs. But I wanted my kicker. This is a back home draft, so I forgot that there was a bunch of homers. My strategy was to grab a couple of guys late, sleepers that I liked, and man, everybody ends up spoiling my shit in this league. It pisses me off. It's my buddy Kyle, my girl Steph, but I think a new kid came in and he grabbed all the Packers. He grabbed Packer defense, Packer tight end, and then the kicker that I really liked. So the Packers drafted this Anders Carlson. He's the brother of is that his name or is that the brother? Either way, he's the brother of this big leg kicker in the Raiders, and he's got just as big of a leg. He missed a couple of field goals, but the concerning thing was he missed a bunch of extra points. And they did make the change with the extra points, but it was a few years ago. But did they do it in college? Either way, it doesn't matter. It's been long enough where that's not a thing. But we bring in a couple of other kickers. We settle on this veteran, and then we bring in this other kicker that we had an eye on in the draft, and we didn't want to spend a draft pick. We were going to sign him to a rookie free agent deal, and I think Houston signed him, and then Houston ended up going with Nick Folk, maybe. Either way, a veteran kicker. But this kid made all of his field goals. One was a game winner, and then one was like a 50-something yarder. I think it was long. I think they said it was the second leg. Was a 59-yarder, something like that. But he did all that in the preseason and then got released. So the Packers gobbled him up right away. But they had their eyes on him in college. He transferred, I think, to like 3 different schools. But he had one year where I think he was like 80%. But the other 2 years, he was really, really good. Drilling long field goals. And never missed a field goal in college. It's like 140 some, 116. extra points. So we went from one to the other. He doesn't seem like he really cares about pressure. He's just very aloof. But here's the thing that why I wanted him is he went to Desert Mountain High School here in Arizona, which is right by where I used to work at this restaurant, and all those kids were our employees. The football players were our employees and would come in and hang out and stuff. And it would have been right around the time that I was there. So I want to say I have probably interacted with this kid, which is pretty cool. And then, baby, okay, that's it. And I pulled up his picture and he looks really familiar, so that'll be really cool. I hope he lasts. But this kid could pee. I figure I would grab him in both of my rounds. I looked last year and Carlson, I think, put up 108 points or something like that, but had all those misses. And if this kid, makes a few extra points and makes all the extra points and maybe makes a few more field goals, he could score over 120 some. So I'm happy with that. But some kid stole him. You son of a bitch, Luke. But either way, really, really excited about both my teams. So got that going for me, which is nice. I'm very tired, and I'm about to get some cuddle time with these dogs. Zeusy, you killed him, buddy. Retarded Elmo. Let me see. Let me see, baby. Let me see this. There you go. Whoa. There you go, baby. You take it. I don't want it anymore. I just wanted to see it. Alright. I hope this saves. I didn't have storage, and my last podcast didn't save. I don't know if it's in the depths of my computer, because I should have had a lot more space. But I hope this saves. Please share, like, subscribe, comment, do all of that. Peace out.